valuable to somebody. So the question is, what is your channel value does it offer? I'm telling you, if you get that right, you're already way more on your path to 100 subscribers. Because if someone lands in your channel and they see a cover image that lets them know what your channel is about, and they see some videos with a consistent theme and message, then they can say, yeah, I do want to learn more about vertical gardening, or yeah, I do want to learn more about how to do, or yeah, I do want to learn about how to do smoky eye tutorials, or I do want to learn how to catch more fish. Anything in the world, but when you clarify what your channel is about and what value it offers, here's some different ways to ask the question. Also, who is your target audience? If you try and reach everybody, you're going to end up reaching nobody. Do not tell me your channel is for everybody on planet Earth, because trust me, over 7 billion people are not all the same. We don't like the same stuff. Come on, we don't like the same music. I don't listen to the music you listen to, probably, unless you listen to Taylor Swift, my favorite artist. Half joking, big reputation. Haters back off. That was Miranda Sings. I'm on a rabbit trail. Whatever. You know, we have different tastes. Some people like hip hop. Some people like classical. Some people like rock. We all like different things. Who's your target audience? You know, Taylor Swift is not marketing to hardcore rap fans. She might be trying to. They probably don't take her seriously, right? Who could not take Tay-Tay seriously, though, right? But, like, who's your target audience? It's not everybody. It's a specific group of people. And what's really great is when you've got a specific channel, it clarifies who your audience is immediately. Because if you're into fishing, guess what? Other people are into fishing. Pretty easy. You step into a pre-existing niche, and you're good to go. And then what's your value proposition? That's basically saying, who is your channel? Like, what's it about? And what value does it offer? Who is it for? Who is your target audience? Who's your content for? And what is your value proposition? If you don't know the answer to those questions, that's probably why you're struggling getting subscribers. If you do know the answers to those questions, you're a lot further along. So let me know in the comments if that makes sense. Like, if you've got clarity on that, tell me, what is your channel? What value does it offer? Who's your target audience? And what's your value proposition to them? Define that, and you're well on your way to breaking through. Now, another way when we say positioning, what are we talking about positioning? How are you positioning yourself, tip number 2, in the market? How are you positioned in the market? You know, if we were to talk about coffee, Starbucks is positioned kind of right in the middle. Generic, everywhere, fast. People would say it's not the best coffee, but it's consistent. If I went to Mothership Coffee here in Vegas, they are local roastery, super hipster, beards, tattoos, gauged ears. Can you feel me? Kind of like plaid shirt. It's just funny. You know, like people, like kind of your hipster coffee shop, art on the walls, like, and pour overs. So now that's smart because they're not competing with Starbucks. They're positioning themselves. Entirely different. Dunkin' Donuts, even different. Budget, fast, quick, good coffee. I like it. People like Dunkin' Donuts. Donuts, not as premium or as expensive as like a Starbucks. Dunkin' Donuts, Mothership Coffee in Vegas, and Starbucks are positioned different. They're all selling coffee. You might be like, Sean, it's discouraging. There's too many other channels. There's too many gaming channels. There's too many lifestyle channels. I can never break through. That's not true. You could totally break through, but what is your USP? What is your unique selling position? How have you positioned yourself different in the market? So check this out. Number one, if your competitor is doing something really well, better than you, and it's what your customer, your target audience wants, that is a losing zone. Your competitor is meeting the consumer's needs. They're doing it better than you. You'll be crushed. You don't want to go compete against like somebody who's already killing it and meeting target audience desires, right? Now, on top of that, if you do it well, but your competitor also does it well, and it's what your consumer wants, it's risky. This is a competitive, that's the battleground area. If you use emotion, innovation, and superior execution, you can win. So it's not the best. It means you do it well. It's what the consumer wants, but a lot of other people are doing it well. You got to figure out an angle, and it's risky to stand out and break through, right? Makes sense. But the ideal positioning, the winning zone, is your clear point of difference that meets the needs of your target audience, and then you can make it even bigger. So that is the sweet spot. It's not even what your competitor ultimately does. It's what you do well. It's what the target audience wants, and that sweet spot is where your USP is. That's your unique positioning in the market. Sean, this sounds hard to do. This does not happen instantly. You got to think about this. You got to think about how you can position yourself. But let's make it practical. Video influencers. We have an interview show. It's a different YouTube channel than this. When we started Video Influencers, we knew we loved online video. We knew both Benji and I had gotten massive results with online video. He crushed in real estate and gone from selling 10 homes a year to over 100 homes a year because of a small YouTube channel in northern Seattle right after the recession. I'd written a book called YouTube for Churches. I'd helped tons of authors, speakers, personal brands build their YouTube channel and leverage social media. I'd done some of my own stuff for organizations I worked through. I was doing freelance. So we had gotten the results. We wanted to go into the space of helping people learn video because we discovered that we loved video so much. And it was a place that it was something we could do well. We knew people wanted to learn it. But then we had to say, well, there's other people teaching this. So we got friends, man. I mean, you probably know some of them. We got like Tim Schmoyer, Daryl Eves. These days there's even new guys, Nick, Owen, I mean, Sonny. These are all my friends too, competitors and friends. But we had to ask, well, what would be different in our space? And it could be a small thing. Never forget that small tweaks lead to giant peaks. And I was thinking, okay, in the podcast space, in the entrepreneur space that I'm from, there's a lot of people that have interview shows. They're interviewing authors and speakers. They have interview podcasts. There's even interview YouTube channels. But no one, a couple years ago, nobody had an interview show of video influencers, which is ironic, on video, not on podcast, because we all create video. We're all video influencers. So I was like, that's just different. Like, it wasn't a matter of does, a competitor do it better. Nobody was doing it. Like, it was just a tweak in the angle. And then, by the way, we do similar things the same. Like, we also share tips like some of our friends do. And, you probably watch some of them and whatever. But we found a way, a vertical of building our influence being a little bit different by starting, at the time, like the first dedicated weekly interview show with video influencers. So when you start thinking like, I need to completely make up some like mystical, brand new, unique angle. Well, no, there's probably nobody even there. The consumer, the target audience probably doesn't even want that. You just need to find a tweak. It's just that different positioning. It's a point of difference. It's a little bit of a difference. And there can be other things as well. Your USP could also just be your style of doing it. Sometimes you can maximize even just who you are. You know what we need more in the video marketing teacher space is women. There's a lot of dudes doing it. There's less women. That's an opportunity. There's less people. Unique selling position. Also, your age could be uniquely different. Like maybe you're helping people, you're in your 60s. You're going to help people that are wanting to maximize YouTube, and they're going to resonate with you because you're doing it, whether it's an age thing, it could be gender, it could be ethnicity. Those are all points of difference. Your style. We're more West Coast. I grew up in Seattle. We lived in California. We lived in Vegas. So I grew up with like West Coast hip hop. I grew up with snowboarding and skateboarding. And at least some of the song choice, some of our vibe, all gets wrapped into the content we create. At least we aspire to do that. And I've learned that it's your vibe that attracts your tribe. So never hesitate to put your vibe, your unique vibe, into your content, even if your content is potentially similar. You're selling coffee, and so are other people, but you can sell it in a different way. Your positioning, if you want to break that 100 subscriber mark and beyond. And we say this all the time. Sally Hogshead wrote in her book, How to Fascinate, different is better than better, right? You want to break through on YouTube right now? Go blow past 100 subs, blow past a and 100,000, you got to find your USP. It's your positioning in the market. Going head to head and trying to be better than your competition, it's a losing. We just saw it. It's a losing way to go. Go to the place they aren't even at yet with a difference of what they're not doing, and you're on the right track. So number one is you got to practice. Number three is you got to learn the best practices. Learn the best practices. Lifelong leaders are lifelong learners. If you're watching this video, it's critical that you're a learner. If you're not a learner, you're going to lose. But here's the thing. You're watching this video of this dude teaching, slides. You're hardcore. I want to encourage you. Like, the fact you're consuming content like this tells me, like, you're a lethal entrepreneur. You're a learner. You can be watching sitcoms right now, which is goofing off, doing whatever. You're working on, you're leveling up, you're learning. This is you, but I just want to encourage you to cultivate this more. This space is honestly competitive. It's also always changing, as you know, and there's a lot to learn. So if you're not passionate about learning, willing to learn new things, and willing to continue to learn, then YouTube's going to be a tough place to succeed because it's never going to stay static. It is kind of actually a moving target. So you got to stay sharp. You got to stay, learning the latest best practices, the latest tips. And then, but beyond the latest stuff, you got to learn the actual basics, right? The basics of the principles, because it's just like anything at all. You don't go into a new discipline like golf or like sewing or piano and just go, you know what? I'm just going to kind of make this up. Forget what Beethoven's theory. Way. That's not how you approach piano. What do? You learn the basics and the fundamentals and the best practices first. And then you can go beyond that. Learned the basics of YouTube. How you practices the best principles. And to be honest, well, Sean, where can I learn those? Well, on Think Media, we do a lot of tech stuff, but you can go through our library here on Think Media. On Video Influencers, it's like besides learning from the interviews that we've done, you can also watch the videos, just as a few free resources that are available for you to learn. And I know you get it, but I just want to encourage you, lifelong leaders are lifelong learners. And you want to learn the basics and the best practices. And then additionally, we also, but here's why. And we kind of said this, but one of the reasons why you want to learn the best practices is because so much goes into YouTube. And I know you know this, but I think that some of us don't even actually comprehend the different elements that go into YouTube success. So for example, you got to learn video production at some level. Like, how do I turn my camera on? How do I edit it? How do I get this video actually on YouTube? It's good to learn branding. If you want to succeed on YouTube, you need to know about branding. Like, how do you create a brand that stands out? How do you, what even is a brand? You got to learn analytics. What gets measured gets improved. Communication verbally, communication if you're going to have a how-to teaching style. Like I said, you saw the video. I was not good on camera at first. I was not a good communicator by nature. I've devoted myself to learning since, by the way, 2003. Like, since 2003, when I started an internship at a church, I started to be challenged as a communicator. Like, I was like in actual coaching from like the youth pastor was like telling me how to communicate. He's having me do announcements. What's the point? I just want to encourage you to embrace the process, to keep practicing, to keep leveling up your skills. You're like, Sean, this is kind of a lot of stuff. It is. So that's why you got to pace yourself, right? And social media, because social media can drive traffic to your YouTube channel. Graphic design, why? So you can design thumbnails, titles, descriptions, tags. Monetization, not just turning on monetization. What are the ways of actually monetizing your content so you can turn this into a business and a lifestyle? Marketing, how do you get the word out? All of these things, right? And so all of that goes into YouTube as the best practices. So it's a lot to learn. So consider, pace yourself to be learning these things one by one. We put out a lot of videos, right? We've had our libraries. I hope you're journaling. I hope you're thinking about, man, I need to treat this as I would treat learning a discipline. Learning how to be a pro athlete. I want to approach, at least that's the way I think about it. I want to approach YouTube with a mastery mindset, right? Learning the best practices, because when I do, that'll lead to the best results. And we also seen, we've done a couple like deeper dive YouTube trainings, but we also have the newest one, which actually talks about 3 fatal mistakes. Generally this, and it talks about monetizing, best strategies, to masterclass.live. We'll link to that in the description. But specifically this training, if you make sure you go to that URL if you want to go deeper dive after this, to masterclass.live. It's actually all about getting clarity about your channel. It's about boosting productivity, because you might have been like, dude, okay, you just filled my calendar, bro. I got some stuff to learn. I got some stuff to execute. You're not helping me, Sean. You're overwhelming me. I know it's a lot. That's why I'm passionate about doing this, helping you go further faster and not have to like rip your hair out like I did for years trying to figure out what works. So you want to like not just have clarity, but you got to boost your activity to get more done, because there's these different things to learn, and then ultimately have the latest strategies. That's what that's about. But it's all under that banner of learning the best practices. Study, watch videos, read books. Lifelong leaders are lifers. All right, so you learn the best practices. You're practicing, the principles, the proven principles, and you position your channel. What I need you to do next, number 4, keep posting videos. Keep posting videos. Sean, why do you say that? It's maybe obvious. It's really not that obvious. No. Trust me. There's people who tell us in our comments here on Think Media, over on Video Influencers, they go, man, your guys' advice doesn't work. It's just, I don't know what's happening. My channel's not growing. And my next move is click on them, look at their channel, look how old their channel, see that their channel is 2 years old, and see that they have 3 videos posted. Okay, our stuff's not working, bro. You gotta work. It works if you work it. You gotta work it. What does that mean? That means you gotta keep posting videos. That's pretty basic. Yeah, it might be common sense, but trust me, it's not common practice. You got to keep posting videos, but there's a certain way you got to keep posting videos. Here's the thing: practice alone is not enough. If they talk about it, they say, like, if you were practicing your free throw shot in basketball, there's a Michael Jordan quote that says the problem is just practicing 8 hours a day is not enough. What happens if you're practicing with the wrong form? What happens if you're practicing with the wrong shot form? Then you're actually practicing wrong, right? So it's not, practice is not enough. Even just posting videos is not enough. Here's the key. Learning is an active process. We learn by doing. Only knowledge that is used in your mind. Dale Carnegie, he wrote How to Win Friends and Influence Play People, classic book. So what's the point here? We learn by doing. So on the path to 100 subscribers, on the path to thousands of subscribers, this is what I've learned works on YouTube. You got to be a lifelong learner, so you're always digesting tactics, strategies, stuff to try, stuff from our channels, stuff like, okay, I'm going to execute on this. And then you go over to your YouTube channel and you post videos and you try it. But then you evaluate how it did and you go learn more, and you digest and then you try it more. And I've seen people fall into one of these 2 pitfalls. And let me know in the comments if you can even relate to one of these 2 pitfalls. Some people are like, Sean, you're wrong, bro. I post 7 days a week, man. I'm posting 7 days a week. I've been doing it for a year and it's not working. What I would say, is you're not evaluating what you're posting. I'm not just saying post indiscriminately. I'm saying get a video out there, practice, but then go study what works, and then evaluate what you're doing, and then compare it. Be like, oh, and that's the unlock. Then you're like, oh man, I wasn't hooking them in the first 10 seconds, or oh man, like the audio sucked. You got to be willing to like evaluate your stuff, and then go learn more strategies, and then apply them. So the people fall in ruts though. The rut is some people all they do is learn. To be honest, Like if you've watched more than 10 of my videos about growing your influence on YouTube, or if you've watched our masterclass and your first video is not posted yet, please turn this off and post your first video by tonight. I mean that. Because I want you to get results. But what happens? We learn by doing. Only knowledge that is used sticks in your mind. I would actually say one of the reasons why I feel like I've probably accelerated over the years is because I don't just learn a lot, but I take massive action. So I apply the knowledge, and I'm like, that didn't really work. So I just learn more. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you learn. You don't lose. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you learn. You tried something, you're like, oh, it didn't work. I just learned more. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you learn. Knowledge that is used sticks in the mind. So then when you learn the best practices, you apply it. So the two ruts. Some people are just learning constantly. Don't just watch videos. Go post them. But then also some people are posting constantly. And you probably actually need to evaluate your strategy. You might need to get some coaching. You might need to study and step back a little bit, because again, if you're just repeating the same thing over and over and over and posting and it's not working, well, then something's wrong. So it's not either or, it's both and. Massive learning, best practices, strategies, but also massive action. And that never stops. If you keep pulling on those two levers, learning the best stuff, investing in yourself, leveling up your education, and posting videos, seeing how they work, you're going to be lethal, man. Forget 100 subscribers. You're going to crush by learning and doing simultaneously. And then number 5 is perseverance. Perseverance, the 5 P's. Perseverance. Why? Because YouTube is a marathon, not a sprint. Now, right here we have this picture of a sprinter. Here's the thing. Too many people, I also feel like, get pumped about YouTube. They don't count the cost of building the tower. They don't think about the distance that it takes. And a sprint is radically different than a marathon. So look at this. There's sprinting blocks. You start different shoes, track spikes on there. Entirely different mentality. Why? Because you're going all out for 100 yards. Not that far. But guess what? You might want to throw up after, because it's all out, crazy, running, cross that finish line, feeling awful, crazy times. You just did a 100-meter dash, or you even just did, 1 lap. You did 400 meters. That's a sprint. Now, if you're going to do a marathon, 26 miles, if you're going to do an ultra marathon, like 50 miles, you're not going to wear these little shoes with the track spikes. You're not starting in blocks. You're not going to run the way this lady is running, because you're going to be going the distance, right? YouTube is a marathon and not a sprint. I said it earlier. You want to pace yourself and think, man, okay, this is a real thing, man. Like, people are making this into a full-time living. It can be practical. It's not like Hollywood. It's not that only the people that are famous or born in the right family or have the right genetics or were from the right place succeed. YouTube has proven that no matter where you live in the world, no matter what your background is, that if you have something you're passionate about, knowledgeable about, and if you're willing to put in the work, that you can succeed. However, it's not overnight. So what I see people do is they treat it like a sprint. You get pumped for a while. Maybe you can run it. You're like super pumped. You're like, all right, you run as hard as you can. You post as many videos as you can. You go on a crazy run. Boom, you hit a wall. Because I'll tell you this, if you're trying to run a marathon and you're sprinting as hard as you can, depending on how good a shape you're in, give it a mile and you're toast. Give it 5 and you're still toast. And you're nowhere close to the finish of the race, right? So I just want to encourage you, again, if you don't break through right away, again, I have a whole channel that didn't go anywhere. Like that whole, go look at it. Like, it's doing all right. Like, we'll probably get back into it, but that channel's kind of stagnated. It's kind of dead. I have a whole channel called Sean Cannell, and other channels, Think International, Clear Vision Media. I've had multiple channels before Think Media and even Video Influencers. Marathon, not a sprint. I believe you can go faster. My passion is, I don't believe I can cut your learning curve down to 0, but I know I can cut your learning curve down by 75%. So if it took me 10 years, I believe it could take you 2.5, 3 years, or 3.5, or whatever the math is on 10. 33 years and 3.3 repeating, right? So it still takes time. It's great things take time. It's not overnight. It can be faster if you got the right, tips and tools and strategies, because getting wisdom always shortens the learning curve. It always helps us go faster, but it's never instant. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And, I love this picture because this is like a marathon in the snow. It actually makes me think YouTube has seasons. You're going to have an emotional roller coaster. Come on, you're going to be up, you'll be down. You'll be feeling like you're crushing it. You'll be feeling like you're failing. You'll be feeling like you break through. You'll break 100 subscribers. You'll break 1,000. You'll plateau. It's crazy. It's crazy. But when you're like, well, I know I'm in this thing. I know that this is a long run. So I know that there's gonna be cold times, hot times, good times, bad times. But what I know is that I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep posting. I'm gonna keep learning. I'm gonna keep investing in myself and in my channel. I'm gonna keep getting advice. I'm gonna keep looking for collabs. I'm gonna keep watching and studying the latest best practices. I'm just gonna keep going and refuse to quit. I see too many people give up too early on YouTube because it can get discouraging and because they can hit a wall. But please don't hit a wall and burn yourself out because you go too fast too soon. Mm-hmm. Slow and steady wins the race. And right up here, it's off camera, but right over here is a dark poster that actually says slow and steady wins the race. And at the end of it is a little turtle, and it's based on the tortoise and the hare. And what I love about that classic story, right, is it wasn't the fastest or even the most athletic or the smartest or the person who had it all together that won that race. The hare was cocky. The hare was overconfident, but the turtle just kept on going. Slow and steady wins, friends. Slow and steady wins. So the fifth tip is you got to persevere. So if you want to break your first 100 subscribers on YouTube, and we could dive into some Q&A, get a little bit more tactical. But if you want to break, your first 100 subscribers, start with practicing. If you're not sure what you want to do yet, post as many videos as you can practicing. Not even thinking that's going to be your channel. It's just a way for you to practice. Then think about your positioning. It's a big deal. You want to stand out? Position yourself. USP, what's your unique selling position? Different is better than better. Where do you stand in the market? And then you got to learn the best practices. Have you devoted time and said, I'm going to create a school for myself where every Saturday I'm going to school. And you're here right now, right? We're learning. But I'm going to, in a disciplined way, methodically, I'm going to take notes. I'm going to organize this information. I'm going to treat this as a real thing, and I'm going to invest in the best practices. And then, you got to keep posting videos, and then ultimately you got to persevere. Those are my 5, I believe that's the framework for success on YouTube. And if you found this training valuable, I definitely do want you to check out that TubeMasterclass.live. We talk about the 3 fatal mistakes. This is about an hour-long training that's actually quite a bit more tactical than this. We're actually talking about 5 ways to generate full-time income with YouTube. I think you'll love that part. And some of the best strategies, like actual tactical strategies that you can do to grow your influence faster on YouTube. But question of the day, what tips do you have for getting your first 100 subs? Especially, some of the best tips and advice come from you, the Think Media community. So I know a lot of you are crushing it at different levels, and you've broken that barrier. What'd you do? This wasn't the most tactical training. So I would love to get into some tactics. Shanna says, how often should we post videos? And, here's what I would say. I would say that if you're in the practice phase, post them as often as you can, and as regularly as you can. Because the more times you do it, the better you will get, I'm also a snowboarder. I love snowboarding. And I remember doing lessons years ago with snowboarding. And I would go to these lessons. And again, I was horrible that first time, right? And they said, carry the pizza box. And it was like this way of carving. And hold your hands like this. And I'm falling and your tailbone's all bruised. Then your second time you do better. Your third time you do better. That's my point. If you're early on, post as many videos as you can. Now, as a general baseline rule of thumb, if you want to be having a consistent show on YouTube and slow and steady, here's what I would say is I think once a week. And I would recommend checking out the interview that we did on Video Influencers with Pylyn's Kitchen. And she actually was doing 2 a week, and she went backward from doing 2 a week because she realized, and I believe the same thing, that quality is more important than quantity on YouTube. Now, there'll be plenty of people that will be like, Sean, that's not true. And the experts say, well, they can say whatever they want. That's just my opinion. Again, if you had to choose between either quality or quantity, I would rather have 1 solid video a week that adds value to your target audience, that is consistently good and people just know you for putting out that solid video a week as opposed to spreading yourself too thin. One of the biggest mistakes I'm seeing people make on some video influencers is people are like, yo man, I'm hitting 7 a week, but they're not growing. So you have to evaluate, is your content schedule efficacious? If it's not effective, then you should rework it. So I think some people could take all the energy they're putting into 5 videos a week and compress it into 1 or 2 and actually grow faster, because I believe quality is more important than quantity. Scott says, I'm sure it has many variables, but what's a realistic number you can expect to see your subs growth per month for the first year after putting out decent videos once per week? Scott, a couple things. You're right. The variables are also the niche. The niche has variables. So if you're like, I want to start a prank channel, if you do that well, you could grow really fast. If you want to start a toy channel for kids, if you do that really well, you could grow really fast. If you wanted to start a homeschool channel, which Heather, who's vibing with you guys in the comments, she's got a homeschool channel. And just a couple quick things. Watch this, The Path to Going Full Time with Paylin. This video right here, though, really good. She breaks down her strategy of how she thinks about quality. And so check that out. Heather Torres, again, like even compared to say Think Media, not that we even would, but she hasn't been doing it as long, but she's about to cross 10,000 subscribers. She's got her channel, The Homeschool House, Learning Through Life Together, crushing it. In her niche, though, it's smaller. Like, she'll probably never have 1 million subscribers, Heather. I'm not trying to declare that over you. What's the point, though? There's less people interested in that narrow vertical. So, Scott, identify what niche you're in and to think about what are the other channels in your niche. So the other day, I was doing coaching call with them, and they said, I want to hit 1 million subscribers. I said, does anyone in your niche even have 1 million subscribers? They said, well, the biggest channel's got 500,000. I was like, well, you might want to cap, I'm not trying to like speak death over your channel, but like if the biggest channel in your niche only has 500,000, then you could scale what success could look like for you. So evaluate your niche. And then as far as a realistic number, to be honest, Scott, I honestly think that year 1, 10,000, year 2, 100,000. If you go crazy, you've got a strategy, you do kind of everything we said. And then I think variables around that. I understand that that's kind of rough numbers, but I think first year, and notice the exponential growth curve. First year is going to be the biggest grind regardless. And so even the first 6 months might be slow. And then you might start peaking up, and by the end of the year, you can hit 10,000. But then you're like, okay, now so next year, the second year, now you can hit 100,000. I mean, you grow 9x